Hello and welcome to Sock Puppet News. Tonight's segment is all about climate change and its effects on coasts and islands across the globe. First, we have our environmental scientist Gabby talking about why the temperatures are rising and its effects on the sea.
Sea level rise is due to the melting of ice. Most of the ice is either land ice, such as the glaciers in Greenland, or icebergs in the North or South Pole. This image showcases how many days this ice spends melting in the summer. Lots of this ice will regrow in the winter, but not all of it. In only 5 years, 2 trillion tons of ice in Alaska, Greenland, and Antarctica melted. This is approximately 12.5 meters of sea level rise. When this ice melts, the thermal expansion creates rising sea level. This can affect areas surrounded by water, such as Cape Cod. All of this starts with gas in the atmosphere causing the globe to heat up. Since the start of the industrial age, carbon dioxide in our environment has been rapidly increasing. Notice that around the year 1800, the red line symbolizing carbon dioxide spikes upwards. This can be attributed to the start of the industrial age. Currently, there are about 390 parts per million of carbon dioxide in the air. This is the highest concentration seen in 650,000 years. The second most populous gas in our environment is methane, as pictured by the blue line in the chart above. We currently have the largest concentration of methane recorded in the last 800,000 years. This concentration spiked upwards throughout the 1900s and still continues to rise, just a bit slower than the original spike. Last, and certainly not least, nitrous oxide. It may have a smaller concentration than any previously mentioned gases in our atmosphere, but it holds a lot of evidence for the spike in greenhouse gases after the Industrial Revolution. Since the start of the revolution, the concentration has risen by a fat 20%. In the last century, the amount has risen faster than ever recorded in the past 22,000 years. All in all, the 3 main contributors to greenhouse gases are carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. Our past actions have put lots of these gases into the environment, trapping more and more sun energy and creating a rise in temperature.
Thank you, Gabby. And next we have Brooke speaking about the effects of the change in temperature on the world.
Due to the rise in concentration of gases in our environment, heat from the sun will remain in the environment much longer. This is causing a 2.85 million cubic kilometers wide ice sheet in Greenland to melt within the next couple hundred years. This will also cause global oceans to rise 6 to 7 meters. The temperature rises in Greenland have already caused noticeable changes. In the town of Quinnock, local fishermen have noticed the sea ice to have melted by 3 feet. Meanwhile, in the capital of Massachusetts, as soon as the year 2070, temperatures in Boston could exceed 90 degrees for an average of 90 days a year, as compared to the 11 days a year that is the average now. This enormous increase in yearly temperature is predicted to cause about 30% of the city of Boston to sink into the ocean. And lastly, our home of Cape Cod is also likely to be affected by the rising temperatures in sea. By the end of 2100, sea levels surrounding the Cape are estimated to rise anywhere in the range of 8 inches to 6.6 feet. This definitely won't be traumatic enough to cause Cape Cod to sink into the Atlantic, but it will change the ecosystem due to loss of beaches and coastline around the whole perimeter of the Cape. So, in conclusion, although North America and all the other continents won't disappear, ice in the north will dramatically decrease, oceanfront cities will sink into their bays, and capes, peninsulas, and islands will have their beaches and coastlines become slowly unrecognizable.
Thanks, Brooke. And now our last special guest, conservation scientist Rebecca Ferguson, explaining her research and diving into how we can aid in stopping climate change.
By the year 2050, an estimated 70% of our population will be living in cities. We could cut 90% of the world's total urban carbon emissions with methods such as redesigning buildings and fixing cracks, changing building materials, changing energy sources, and making public transportation more efficient. There are already 10,000 cities such as Toronto, LA, Houston, and Chicago working on reducing their carbon footprints by 2050. And on a more local scale, Vineyard Winds is a wind farm off the shore of Martha's Vineyard. They plan to build 84 windmills, which is enough to power 400,000 homes. This is the first off-coast wind farm in Massachusetts, and it's a major step in the right direction.
Thank you, Rebecca. And that will do for tonight's segment of Sock Puppet News.